Welcome to the deep dive. You sent us something really interesting, a report looking at the global market for industrial floor mats in 2025.
That's right.
Now, I know what people might think, floor mats, really?
Yeah, maybe not the most glamorous topic on the surface.
But trust us, the numbers here, they tell a story. We're talking, what, $5.4 billion projected for 2025?
Just over, 5.428 billion.
Growing to over $8 billion by 2033. That's a steady 5.1% annual growth.
Exactly. And it gives us this, well, surprisingly detailed look at global industries, workplace trends, safety, all sorts of things.
But like a window into global activity.
It really is. The report covers market size, regional growth, different mat types, materials, who's using them, how they're sold.
The whole picture.
Pretty much. So our mission today is to, pull out the key insights for you, make sense of this seemingly niche market and its broader implication.
Okay, let's dig in. That 5% growth for floor mats.
Mm-hmm.
What's actually fueling that?
Well, the report points to a couple of big global forces. First, you've got just ongoing rapid urbanization and industrialization, especially in, developing economies.
Right. More cities, more factories.
Exactly. More industrial spaces simply need more industrial stuff, including bats.
That makes sense. More factories, more warehouses.
Mm.
But it can't just be about building more places, can it?
No, you're right. That's the other key piece. There's a really significant and growing emphasis on workplace safety regulations.
Ah, okay.
And just employee well-being in general. Companies are much more aware now.
Aware of needing safer, maybe more comfortable work environment.
Precisely. Ergonomics is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And floor mats, well, they're a pretty fundamental part of making a workspace safer and less tiring.
Yeah, I mean, standing on concrete all day versus a proper mat. Big difference.
Huge difference for workers.
Okay, so that's the overall picture. How does this look region by region? North America is the big player currently, right?
That's right. For 2025, North America holds over 40% of the market.
Wow, 40%.
Yeah, it's about $1.5 billion, but their projected growth is a bit more moderate, around 3.6% CAGR through 2033.
Okay, and within North America, the U.S. is dominant.
Yes, the U.S. market is the largest chunk, just under $1.2 billion in 2025, and similar growth, about 3.4%.
And what's driving that in the U.S.?
It reflects, the well-established safety rules they have, OSHA and so on, plus a high degree of industrial automation already in place.
Right. What about Canada and Mexico?
Canada's market is around $182 million for 2025, actually showing slightly stronger growth, 4.4% annually.
Interesting. Why faster growth there?
Likely driven by investments in key sectors like food processing, healthcare, energy, places with pretty strict safety needs.
Got it. And Mexico?
Mexico comes in around $138 million with a 4.1% growth rate, so still contributing significantly.
It's interesting that slower overall growth in North America compared to the global average.
It does suggest other regions might be, catching up faster. It hints at shifts in industrial activity.
So North America is mature, still big, but maybe growth is accelerating elsewhere.
That seems to be the pattern. The report mentions specific industries in North America needing these mats. Automotive is huge. Ford, GM, Tesla, Toyota.
Right.
Also aerospace, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Bombardier up in Canada, and electronics too. They all need specialized mats.
Makes sense. Okay, let's hop over to Europe. How does it compare?
Europe's the second largest, over 30% of the global market in 2025.
Okay.
About $1.3 billion total value. And their growth is projected at 4.0% annually, so a bit faster than North America.
And who's leading the charge in Europe?
Germany. Germany, yes. Largest single market there, around $258 million, growing at 4.2%.
And why Germany specifically?
Well, they have very stringent safety standards. The DGUV regulations are often cited, plus a strong cultural focus on worker health and well-being.
Right. Who else is significant in Europe?
The UK is substantial, around $219 million, and actually quite strong growth at 4.8%.
Oh, higher than Germany's, right?
Yeah, it seems fueled by their manufacturing and logistics sectors, especially with the rise of e-commerce and demand for ergonomic stuff.
Okay. And others? France, Italy.
France is about $120 million, Italy $112 million, Spain around $107 million. Russia is also quite large, over $200 million, though slower growth projected there.
And even some smaller countries show decent growth.
Yeah, that's interesting. Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, even Luxembourg.
Yeah.
All showing growth rates between, say, 3.5% and 4.3%.
So it's widespread across Europe.
It suggests a broad adoption of these safety and ergonomic standards. The rest of Europe combined is also a big piece.
And you mentioned e-commerce impact there, too,
Absolutely. The boom in online retail across Europe, Amazon, Zalando, Alibaba expanding, means tons of new warehouses and distribution centers.
which need lots of safety mats.
Exactly. Anti-slip, anti-fatigue, critical for keeping those operations running smoothly and safely.
Okay, let's pivot now. The report highlights Asia-Pacific as having the most dynamic growth forecast,
Definitely. APAC holds around 23% of the market share in 2025.
which is over $2.1 billion.
Right. But the really eye-catching number is the projected growth, 6.1% CAGR, highest globally.
Wow. And China's the giant within APAC.
By far. Nearly $890 million market size in 2025, growing at 5.6%, just reflecting its huge manufacturing base and expanding logistics networks.
But the report singles out India, doesn't it, as the real growth leader.
That's right. India's projected growth is remarkable, 8.0% annually.
8%, that's huge.
It's the highest globally. Market size around $212 million in 2025, but that growth rate is the story.
What's driving that incredible rate in India?
Well, government initiatives like Make in India are boosting domestic manufacturing, and there's also a rapidly growing awareness around workplace safety standards.
So it's not just building more, it's building better or safer.
Exactly. It signals a potential shift, maybe, in global manufacturing and a definite rise in safety consciousness as India integrates more.
Who else is contributing to APAC's strong performance?
Japan is significant, around $292 million. South Korea, over $250 million. Australia, Singapore, Taiwan, all showing robust growth rates, mostly above 5% or even 6% for Singapore and Taiwan.
Southeast Asia, too.
Southeast Asia as a bloc is also growing fast, nearly 7% CAGR.
And what kind of industries are big in APAC driving this?
Well, besides general manufacturing and logistics, APAC is a major hub for chemical processing and pharmaceuticals.
Specialized needs there.
Very specific needs. China, India, South Korea are big in those sectors. They need chemical-resistant mats, clean room mats, fueling demand for specialized products.
Okay, let's cover the other regions. South America, smaller share but still growing.
Yep, South America is over 5% of the global market, about $163 million in 2025, with a solid 5.5% growth forecast.
Who leads there? Brazil.
Brazil's the largest, around $70 million, with strong growth in near 6.1%, driven by manufacturing and mining.
Mining, okay.
Argentina also shows strong growth, maybe surprisingly high at 6.4%, apparently due to more adoption of anti-fatigue and anti-slip mats.
Right. Colombia, Peru, Chile.
They contribute too, all with growth over 5%. In South America, you definitely see the influence of the oil and gas and mining sectors.
Like in Brazil, Venezuela, Chile.
Exactly. Those industries need really heavy-duty specialized mats for harsh conditions.
Got it. How about the Middle East?
Middle East is smaller, around 2% market share, but growing strongly at 5.8% annually.
Over $200 million in 2025.
That's right. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are the biggest markets there, both with growth over 6%.
What's driving it there? Construction.
A lot of it, yes. The booming commercial and hospitality sectors, huge infrastructure projects.
Like Expo 2020, the World Cup.
Things like that definitely spurred development. Lots of hotels, malls, commercial buildings needing entrance mats, safety flooring. Turkey's growth is also notable, linked to construction and logistics.
Yeah.
Qatar, too, with infrastructure and oil and gas.
Okay. And finally, Africa, smallest share.
Smallest, yeah. About 1% of the global market in 2025, around $119 million, but still positive growth, 5.4% CAGR.
And South Africa leads.
South Africa is the largest market there, with pretty strong growth forecasts at 6.3%. Nigeria also sees growth linked to commercial construction.
And the drivers overall in Africa.
Mainly investments in infrastructure, airports, commercial complexes, also increasing construction of commercial spaces in certain regions.
It really is fascinating how closely this tracks broader economic activity, isn't it?
It really is. The type of industry, the level of development, the regulatory environment, it's all reflected.
Okay, let's dive deeper now into the types of mats. What's selling, what's growing fastest.
Right. So looking by type, anti-fatigue mats are showing the fastest growth.
The ergonomics factor again.
Exactly. It really highlights that growing awareness. Think manufacturing, logistics, healthcare, retail, anywhere workers stand for long hours.
E-commerce warehouses must be huge for that.
Absolutely huge driver. All those fulfillment centers with people on their feet all shift.
What about just basic safety preventing slips?
Anti-slip mats are also expanding rapidly, and what's interesting there is they're moving beyond just factories.
Oh, where else? Offices, schools, airports, gyms, malls. even homes. There's just much more awareness about liability and, preventing falls everywhere.
Makes sense. Any other key types?
Sure, there's steady demand for specialized ones, anti-static for electronics, scrape mats for entrances to catch dirt, clean room mats for, well, clean rooms, chemical-resistant mats for labs and specific industries.
Okay. And what are they made of? What materials dominate?
Currently, vinyl holds the largest share.
Why vinyl?
It's got a great combination of features, it's durable, it's easy to clean, and crucially, it resists water, oils, chemicals.
Right. Perfect for food processing, chemical plants, labs.
Exactly those kinds of demanding environments.
But the report mentions synthetic materials are growing fast, too.
Yes, synthetics are expanding rapidly. They tend to offer really good abrasion resistance.
So good for heavy foot traffic.
Exactly. High-traffic industrial areas like factory floors, warehouses, and often they can be a cost-effective option, too, without losing performance.
And other materials.
Right.
Rubber. Yep. Polypropylene, various types of rubber, even polyester or plastic blends. They all have their specific uses and advantages depending on the exact need.
The report also broke it down by surface type, wet versus dry.
It did. And mats designed for wet surfaces currently have the largest share.
No surprise there, I guess, preventing slips where liquids are common.
Right. Food processing again. Healthcare is a big one. Manufacturing, hospitality. Anywhere spills or wet floors are a risk. Healthcare growth in general helps drive this.
But mats for dry surfaces are growing fast too, you said. Why is that?
That's tied more to comfort, aesthetics, and just general cleanliness in places like corporate offices, co-working spaces, schools, hotels.
So maybe carpeted mats, cushioned mats.
Exactly. Plus entrance mats for trapping dirt in retail and commercial buildings, and anti-fatigue mats for standing desks or checkouts.
Okay, let's look at the end users. Where are these mats ultimately ending up? General manufacturing is biggest.
Yes, that's the largest end-use segment. Factories often have spills, debris, oil, so anti-slip and drainage mats are crucial.
And specialized needs too.
Growing need for things like shock-absorbing or vibration-dampening mats in some manufacturing settings to improve safety further.
And food and beverage is another big growth area.
Absolutely. Workers there are often standing for very long hours. Packaging lines, processing units, breweries.
So anti-fatigue is key.
Very key. Improves comfort, reduces strain, which can boost productivity and safety.
What about how companies buy these mats? Direct from manufacturer versus indirect.
Currently, the direct channel buying straight from the maker has the biggest share.
Why is that preferred?
Companies often feel they get better control over pricing, branding maybe, and critically, they can get customized solutions made for their specific needs.
But the indirect channel, through distributors, is growing fast.
It is. Using wholesalers and distributors offers advantages too, especially for maybe small and medium-sized businesses.
Like better pricing, easier access.
Often, yeah. More affordable pricing sometimes, bulk discounts, and just quicker access to standard products from local suppliers. Useful for warehousing, logistics, food processing, where you might need something quickly.
It really shows how this market connects to everything else. The report mentioned the competitive landscape too.
Yeah, briefly. It's described as highly competitive. You've got big global players and smaller regional ones all fighting for share.
What are they competing on? Price? Features?
A lot of focus is on innovation developing high-performance mats. Better anti-fatigue, better slip resistance, more chemical durability, solving specific industry problems.
Any examples?
The report mentioned one major player, Milliken, increasing production of a key ingredient for their entrance flooring back in 2020. Shows ongoing investment and upgrades.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. If we boil it down, what are the main takeaways? Drivers, restraints, trends.
Sure. So the key drivers we talked about: stricter safety regulations worldwide, rising awareness of ergonomics and worker health, and just continued industrialization and infrastructure growth.
Right. And the main hurdles are restraints.
Mostly the cost. The initial purchase price for a good quality industrial mats can be significant, plus ongoing maintenance and replacement costs. That can be a factor for some businesses.
Okay. And looking forward, the key trends.
Two main ones highlighted: a growing push towards using sustainable, eco-friendly materials in mat production,
That's interesting.
and continued growth in those specialized, high-performance mat segments designed for very specific, demanding applications.
So, for our listener, this deep dive into industrial floor mats, well, it really paints a picture of steady, significant growth.
Definitely.
It's powered by this mix of expanding industry, tougher safety rules, and a better understanding of how the workplace impacts people.
That's a good summary.
And we've seen how the growth plays out differently everywhere based on local industries and rules.
Yeah.
And we looked at, which types of maps, materials, and customers are driving things.
Exactly. It might seem like a really narrow topic, but it opens this fascinating window onto these huge global trends: safety, industry, economic development. Even a simple floor mat is tied into all of that.
Absolutely. Which leads us to our final thought for you today. How might these trends in something as basic as industrial flooring hint at future priorities for workplace design, for worker well-being, maybe in your own industry, or ones you deal with?
Hmm.
What other everyday items might actually hold surprising clues about the big economic and social shifts happening around us? Something to think about.
Definitely food for thought.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.